Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Wednesday, July 16th, around 8 o'clock at night, and this will be the video covering trades and holdings for ULTY, YieldMax's Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, their crypto industry and tech portfolio option income ETF. Just a reminder, I'm on X. I give you a heads up when videos are coming out at ETF_Inspector1. I also repost the distribution declarations, YieldMax, as well as the Round Hill ones for the funds that I cover. Just a heads up, I did hit all the goals and became monetized with YouTube. So starting today, you might start seeing commercials. I know everybody hates it, but it's a neat way for you to get what I'm giving you for free and for me to make some money off of it. So we'll see how that goes. I will, as things go along, some people seem to like those journey videos. I'll let you know how things are going. I'll be transparent and tell you what it looks like. And I'll probably even do something where I make stock moves or plays with portions of the money or something like that. I don't know. But today we're going to talk about ULTY, and it's Wednesday, ULTY and LFGY, and it's Wednesday, so it's declaration day. So big picture, it was a whole lot of green. You saw on the screen the guys celebrating on the thumbnail, celebrating with money because almost everything was up, and boy was it up. Today was the biggest dollar amount increase in ULTY's history. I haven't been tracking it for LFGY, but it was a good day, but nothing like ULTY. LFGY only had one stock, I believe, in the red out of the entire fund. But we will go deeper on our form. For starters, we download the intraday trades sometime after 5:30, 6 o'clock each night. We scroll through. We find the ones that go with us. In this case, ULTY, starts at line 168. Not terrible, goes to 227, so 59 trades. And then LFGY starts at 269 to 316. What's that, about 47? So not a terrible day. We've dealt with much worse. So let's start. But before we get into ULTY and LFGY, since it's declaration day, we'll just run through all the declarations made for YieldMax. So as you can see, I've got the fund to the left. These are all the weeklies. These are all part Group B. You got their closing prices and then what their distribution turns into as an annual yield. And no surprise here, ULTY wins again as far as the weeklies. So LFGY at the top of the weeklies with almost 48 cents. Then Chippy, 37.3 cents. GPTY, about 29.5 cents. RDTY, 33.3 cents. SDTY, 14.81 cents. QDTY, 19.06 cents. YieldMax just barely beating ULTY at more than double the price, 10.41 cents. ULTY surprising us, going over 10 cents, 10.35, and YMAG 15.15 cents. I used to put them in order, but now I've actually I've got it to where each fund is automatically lined up, so I get their closing prices, so I don't feel like reorganizing that every time. But ULTY paid an 84+% annual yield based on that distribution. That's the top. I don't think, since as long as I've been telling you about them, that anybody has beat ULTY. Group B, Pallady was the big surprise, and I don't mean that in a good way. We were expecting $5, $6, $7, and we got $2.56. So let me know what you think about that one. The only upside to it is any money that they didn't give you, they left in your share price. Your value still stays the same. Morrow, right? It's just a difference of whether you basically cashed out $2.56 out of your stock price, because it's what's going to open up that much lower tomorrow, or if you left it in. Morrow was $2.37.18 cents. They were the big winner over here, paying out over 100%, over 120. NVIDIA was just over a dollar, 102.85. JPMO 50.85 cents. LFGY, we cover that in a different video. Just under 50 cents. Should have been more, but who knows? There's a whole lot of factors that go into it. We don't have all the information. Babo, 38.2 cents. GDXY, 33.21 cents. Murney, the crazy $2 fund, paying out 20 cents. That's a pretty good one too. 98%, 20 cents. And then dips, 17.16 cents. Okay, we will start out with Ulti's trades. Actually, right before we do, let's talk about that announcement, right? So we looked through, we came up with our estimate. We said based on income, they lost money. Based on the IV, they were going to pay us around 9.68 cents. I thought that since they lost money, and similar to the week before where they had lost money, they paid slightly under the IV. So I actually lowered my guess to 9.5 cents. They ended up paying extra. We did talk about that possibility since we've had hundreds of millions of dollars increase in coming into the fund, that hey, maybe they're going to want to set the hook on all these new people and make them happy, and they might. And I did say, hey, they may even pay 10 cents, but I didn't write it down, so my guess was off by 8.21%. I assume you don't come here for that, right? I present you lots of facts and information, and then I give you an opinion. I would hope you're here for the facts and the information, and that's just an added bonus. Okay, so let's get back to those facts. Here's all the trades that were made in Ulti today. They bought more shares of MicroStrategy. We added United Airlines and Nebius Group. I've never heard of Nebius Group to the fund. Put what's that? Almost $25 million into United, and $26 million into Nebius. Added 15 more million in MicroStrategy. We sold RH. They're I don't even know what to call them, the way they keep buying in, selling out. So we're back to being out of RH again. And then they bought some Vistra Corp. That's a stock we've had before. Then we didn't have it, but we've been trading options anyway. Now we're back to having it again. All right, so I guess we'll hold off. So AAOI, obviously, if all the stocks went up big time, that means they're going to go through the sold calls. We're going to have to pay to close them out and roll them, and it's going to be an ugly trading day. I would hope you've come to assume that by this point, but it's okay. We still end up better off. It's still better than the stock going down. It is a net positive for the stocks to go up to the point that they blow through our sold calls. So don't feel like this is bad. AAOI closed out and rolled out to next week now, $105,000 profit. So we do see this sometimes. They will close things a little bit early just to take a win, just to try to offset a whole lot of losses. But so that was $105,000 profit. AMD, the roll to next week was a debit of $777,000, but I don't want you to get that confused. This was a debit spread, right? So this is one like we talk about where they bought the closer call, they sold the further one out. When they closed that out, that's right here, closing out this week's, as you can see, that was a win. That was a $1.3 million profit. Now we started next week's where we put the money in and we see how we do on the back end. So we put in $2.1 million into our next week, right? We bought a 145 and sold a 160. So that will have value from the start, and it can gain in value. Whereas when you do just sell a call, you've collected your maximum amount of profit, and then you just find out if you have to lose any. So although that is a debit, that's not a loss, right? Because we won on this week's trade, and we've already started next week's trade. Coinbase, I wrote partial here because there was more than 650 contracts at this position, so they rolled some and left some. $884,000 loss on that partial roll. First Solar lost $93,000, rolling up and out to next week. MicroStrategy, we talked about it. We bought more shares, so we sold more options to go with those new shares. $85,000 profit. Same thing with, I think it was NBIS. We bought shares, so we started selling. We started our collar position, right? Selling calls out of the money, buying puts out of the money. $370,000 profit. Oklo, this one hurt a lot. Closed out this week's 60s, rolled out the next week's 67s. Overall, lost 1.4 million. Palantir closed out for this week, rolled to next week, up and out, $366,000 loss. Rigetti, I think I jinxed us on this one because they were like 12% out of the money yesterday, and I said, looking like we're gonna win this one. Oh, what a day can do. We lost $5 million, $5.3 million, having to close these out. But again, wait till you see how much value increase we got off of that 30% increase today. So we bought to close our whole position in Rigetti, sold new ones for next week, and spent $5.3 million. RH, right? We sold out of the stock, so we bought to close the calls, we sold the puts, and we're done. RH, $576,000 profit. Tesla, we had to roll. Anytime you're paying $15 on a closeout, you know it wasn't good. $1.2 million loss. Rolled. What did we do? We still rolled into this week. We're still trying to scratch and claw in this week. UAL, that's United Airlines. That's the brand new stock. So all we had to do was sell new options to go with the new position. $192,000 profit. And then Vistra Corp. Overall, it was a $2.3 million credit, but we've got a couple parts to it. Right. The first part is we originally had a debit spread. So this is the closing out of the debit spread. We won, or we put 1.5 million almost in our pockets. And then since we bought shares, we didn't roll this debit spread to a new debit spread, we turned around and just sold into our collar position. So selling calls, buying puts. And so that was the other $863,000 profit. Okay, all of that totals to a $6.4 million loss on the trading day. That goes along with our biggest increase to date, dollar-wise, over $45 million increase in value. And we're going to look at why that happened. All right, so I'm not going to name each change in market value, but you can see it as we go. AAOI dropped a little, 0.8%. They rolled the ones further out of the money. They still have 31s that are almost 7% out of the money. AMD went up 2.87% to 160. These are rolled. I just didn't make that orange as well. So we rolled our debit spread. It was a win. We talked about that. AppLovin up 0.72%. No action taken. We've got 347.50s that are 2.25% in the money, and we've got 362.50s that are almost 2% out of the money, both expiring on Friday. AST Space Mobile up nearly 3%. That brought us closer to the money, but we didn't go beyond the strike, so we're still looking okay as long as we don't go up much more. 53s and 54s are 0.7 and 2.6% out of the money. Coinbase was up 2.62%. Not sure why these were in such a rush to close out, but the 392.50s went 1.4% in the money, and we rolled them the next week. The 415s are still 4.2% out of the money. First Solar is the biggest loser on the day. They decreased in value by almost 3%. So they rolled these 165s, even though they were still in the money on a losing day. Maybe let's take a look. Just because it was a losing day doesn't mean it started out looking like one. So let's see if we got any clues. Why can't I find it? No, it started heading down and kept going. So can't say I can explain why they did it, but we've still got 170s and 172.50s that are 1.9 and 3.4% out of the money. Robinhood up 3.7%, taking those 102s 1.2% in the money, and we have 106s 2.6% out of the money. So we'd like them to give back another $1.25 between now and Friday. IonQ was up almost 5%. Took us from being a safe distance out of the money to being real close. We're 1% out of the money now. LabVIEW had a big day, up 6.3%. Still 2.5% out of the money on those 68s. Everything expiring Friday still. Mara up 3.6%. Again, bringing us real close to the money. 1950s are 0.3% or 6 cents out of the money. And the 20s are 2.8% out of the money. MicroStrategy up over 3%. These guys have been going up a lot lately. 2.3% in the money on the, call it half. It's not quite half of the contracts. And the others are 2% out of the money at 465. Netflix down almost 0.8%, 5.5% out of the money on those 1320s expiring Friday. Oklo was up 5.6%. Had to go ahead and roll those 60s, but we still have 66s that are 2.5% out of the money. Palantir up a little over 1.5%. So they rolled the 147s that were further in the money. We've still got 148s and 152.50s that are 1.9% in the money and 1% out of the money. Reddit down 0.3%. 149s and 150s, 3.25 and almost 4% out of the money. We need to win the 150s for sure. That's 3,800 contracts compared to 530 of them. Rigetti, biggest winner on the day, up 30+%. So obviously they had to roll everything, but you saw as much as the roll hurt, 5.3 million. Look at the increase in value, 16 million. So that's why they're not concerned if they go through the strikes. All right, RH was up a little. They closed everything out. We sold the shares. We're done with them for now. SMCI barely up, 0.09%, 0.4% in the money on those 53s and 5.2% out of the money on the 56s, all still expiring Friday. I would assume that actually an increase of 0.09% would have still led to a decrease in the premium to close over the course of a day, seeing as how it only went up 5 cents, but losing a whole day, leaving only 2 left. And what are they? They're only 22 cents in the money. So, yeah, that probably dropped today. Sorry, I need a drink. SMR up over 7% today. Took everything in the money, but they didn't roll it. So, yeah, that's the thing, right? So we have Coinbase that goes 1% in the money and they roll it. And then we have others that go 4+% in the money and they don't. Unless I just messed up. Did I forget SMR? Nope. So we're 4.5, 2.3, and 0.2% in the money on 45s, 44s, 45s, and 46s. Tempest AI up over 7%. Still 3.3% out of the money on those 62s. Tesla up 3.5%. That was enough for them to roll. They're deeper in the money strikes, and they still have 322.50s that are 0.25% out of the money. Upstart up 3.82%. Took their 76s, 1.25% in the money, and left their 77s 0.05% or 4 cents out of the money. So if it trades sideways the rest of the week, that's a heck of a win, but probably not. Okay, VRT, Vertiv, down 1.5%. No action was taken. So these are the opposite of the other scenario. Since it's a debit spread, we want this highlighted position to go in the money, but we don't highlight it red because red correlates with bad, and it's good in this case. So it's doing well, right? If we were to close it out right now, we'd get 2.8 million selling these shares, and we'd have to pay roughly 500,000 to close those out. Vistra Corp, similar debit spread, right? This is the one where this has all been closed out, so we don't care about that anymore. It lost 3.78%. They bought shares and they started a collar position. All right, so that's how we came to the $45+ million increase. Love it. Net assets, there was 1.37 billion at the start of the day. That doesn't include if we added more shares today or the $45 million increase in value. So that will definitely be up tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if we're a $1.5 billion fund tomorrow morning. So from yesterday, there was an increase of over 4 million shares, bringing our outstanding shares up over 218 million. And that's all we've got for Ulti. I do want to mention one thing, just so I don't forget it. Somebody mentioned in the comments, and then I actually heard somebody else bring it up as well, that at least Robinhood, but maybe check with your broker, lowered margin maintenance on these YieldMax funds for them. So I think they said it went from 70% to 30%. Don't quote me on that, but just check into it. You might have a lower margin maintenance now, especially if you have Robinhood. Okay, let's go to LFGY. We'll start out talking about the distribution. This is the closest I've ever been, I think, on this one. But if you watched the last video, I did say I think it's actually going to be closer to 50, but I didn't change the writing. So what's in writing stands. I missed it by 0.0099 cents or 2%. Okay. We go through the trades a little bit different on LFGY because they do a whole lot of partial trades. So we're not going to sit and try and run through one contract at a time sometimes. So I like to highlight just the ones where we have a full roll. Coinbase is one of those. We closed out our 382.50s, paying $18. Sold some 425s for next week, and then we actually put some more money to work. So that helped, even though, because this was a loss, but since we put more money to work selling into next week, it didn't hurt so bad. $14,000 debit. Galaxy, another one, blew through our calls. Paid to close them out, sold new ones. $248,000 loss. Robinhood, same story. Blew through our sold calls, had to close them out, sold new ones. $630,000 loss. And the last one, PayPal. This one was not a loss, so closed out their 76s for 5 cents a piece and sold 73s for next week at over $1, profiting $42,500. Okay, so all said and done with trading today for LFGY, it was a $796,000 loss. I know what you're thinking. If you're fairly new here, I just keep talking about losses. Anytime all the stocks that you own go up and you sold calls on them, you're going to take trading losses. But the trading losses do not compare to the value increase. So don't sweat it. You can see it was a good day value-wise over here for LFGY too. How couldn't it be? There was only one stock that went down in the whole thing. All right, so BitDeer up over 7.5%, closed right at the money. So they will, because it's a high volatility fund, almost 100%, they will still be pricey to close. But if they were to end this way, they'd end up closing for a penny right before the market closed. But obviously they're still going to fluctuate Thursday and Friday. But all it takes is a down day, and we're closing it out for a win. Hopefully, there's not a big up day for BitDeer tomorrow. CleanSpark up over 3%. It's okay. We were still far enough away that we are 11% out of the money. We felt that way yesterday with Rigetti, and then it went up 30% today. So nothing is safe. Coinbase. I actually have thought about switching my color schemes to make within 10% yellow and greater than 10% green, because that feels safer. And then you get stocks that go up 30 and 20% and you still lose. Not lose, but you know what I mean. CleanSpark was up. We talked about that. 11% out of the money. Coinbase went up 2.62%. They rolled the ones further in the money. It was a smaller position, only 33. We're still winning on these 400s. They're 0.45% out of the money, though, so we needed to stop going up for the rest of this week. And ideally going up but not passing the strike is kind of the best of both worlds, because you get to keep all the premium you collected and you get to increase in value up to but not beyond the point where you'd have to pay to close things out. So that's your cake and eat it too situation, but we're okay if we just get cake or if we just get to eat it. Those situations work out in our favor as well. Core Scientific up 1.1%. We got 1450s and 15s sold. They're 4.1 and 7.7% out of the money. Still doing well. Closing tomorrow or Friday. The 15s are the ones that are important. 6,600 contracts compared to 79. Circle Internet Group, the biggest winner over here, up over 19%. Can't believe they didn't. Did I just miss it? Nope, they did not close out their position there. So 4.5% in the money. Fortunately, they were far enough out of the money that didn't take us deeper. Galaxy, another big one, up over 16%. They did, however, roll these. These are the Galaxy ones we talked about. So we'll have new ones tomorrow. Let's look at similar. $424,000 increase compared to a $248,000 loss. That's an increase in value, though. One's realized, one's not. These are not realized gains. GameStop up almost 2%. I actually sold a put on them today, so I'd like to see them go up. That took them in the money by 0.75%, roughly 18 cents in the money. Robinhood up 3.7%. They rolled pretty much the ones that matter, 1,100 contracts. They rolled those. There's still 34 contracts that are in play, 3.6% out of the money. Hut 8 Corp up 3.15%. Took the 22s in the money by 1%. Not that big of a deal when you compare 250 contracts to 4,000. They're still 3.4% out of the money. IBIT, here's one we would like to see go up all day, every day, because we don't have any options to worry about. It just increases our value, up 2.5%. Mara Holdings up 3.62%. These were nice and far out of the money because they're still 8% out of the money at 21. MBTX, we have these two spreads. The first one is a credit spread. So 295 is where we're sold at. It's at 282. They're 4.5% out of the money. Second one is the debit put spread, where we need it to go below 230 for this to be a winner, and that is currently 18.5% out of the money. We want that in the money to win that trade. I don't know if we want that in the money big picture or not, but who knows if that's going to end up being a costly mistake if that stock never goes down there, because it's already decreased in value by a couple million. Mercado Libre up 0.63%. Oh, we've got two contracts that are at, I think we closed one of them, so we still got one contract there. 2% out of the money. The other ones are 6.8% out of the money. MicroStrategy up over 3%. Took the 450s 1.2% in the money and the 460s 0.9% out of the money. No action was taken, though. At least I don't think. Nope, they just sold some more. NU up 2.29%. These were just barely in the money. They went a little further, but still no action taken. They would have been able to be closed out for 21 cents. That wouldn't have hurt too bad. After increasing today, they're going to cost more than that because they're naturally going to be at least 35 cents based on the stock price plus time premium. The 14s are 1% out of the money, but there's 20 times as few of those. NVIDIA up 0.39%. Still 2.1% out of the money on those 175s, but they don't expire till next Friday. Opera Holdings, the only loser, 0.43% down. They've got 20s for this week and 20s for August 15th. This week's important, though, 3,200 contracts compared to less than 100. Both are about 7.5% out of the money. PayPal, up a fraction. They just didn't want to join Opera as one of the losers. They went up 1 cent and they rolled them. They were far enough out of the money that they were able to close them for pennies. I believe we said 5 cents. Riot Platforms up 3.8%. Took our 1250s 0.5% in the money. It's okay, 450 contracts compared to 13s or 65, almost 6,600 contracts. Still 3.4% out of the money. And finally, Block up over 4.5%, still 2.8% out of the money. That's how we came up with a $5.8 million increase in value. The fund is, well, it started the day valued at $173 million. We'll find out tomorrow. Obviously, it went up 5.8 million on that side. What did we say? 796,000. Yeah. Loss in trading, so it's still a net positive. Plus, we'll see if there was any increase in shares. Sorry, I can't speak. From yesterday, there was 75,000, bringing us up to 4,325,000. Whew, and that's everything. So it was a long one. Tried to get through it quick. I try not to take drinks here, but my voice starts getting funny. I've had complaints about people saying stop taking drinks or edit the video. I don't know how to edit the video, so I'm going to have to either take drinks or talk to you in froggy voice. So quick recap at the end. As requested, Ulti lost. Well, let's just call this a debit, right? Because not all of it's a loss. Some of it is buying into a debit spread, but decreased debit 6.4 million and an increase in value of over 45 million. And they added 2 new stocks, United Airlines and NBIS, Nebius, and they got rid of RH. And then LFGY loss of 796,000 in trading and an increase in value of 5.8 million. And we also got to find out how much money we got coming. So you guys already planning on how you're going to spend it? I've started a new strategy or new idea. I'll show you in my Saturday personal trades video. All right, that's everything. So I've just got the dad joke of the day for you. My 9-year-old guessed the answer as soon as I said it. I don't know if she's looking ahead on the calendar or what, but so before I do, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you watching, all the likes, the comments. Oh, I did forget something. I'm sorry. I hope you made it to the end here. If you're in there, I want to say a big thank you to Darren Winslow. New super thanks, right? Obviously, you guys don't have to do that. I appreciate it. So just giving people money that you didn't even have to. So it's not lost on me. I appreciate it. And I will continue to thank you guys personally every time. Okay, so dad joke of the day. What do you call a dog that can do magic? A labracadabrador. Probably because my daughter's name's Abigail and I call her Abracadabra. But okay, 8:45. I think it's going to take longer to start uploading these now, but by the time you see it, you're not worried about that. So have a good night and good luck trading tomorrow.